Alright, Archie, come in.
Hello.
I'm Pranavan. I'll be interviewing you today.
Nice to meet you.
Very nice to meet you too. Thank you for coming in to answer a few questions. Your application letter and resume impressed us, and we feel like you may be the right person for this internship. We'd like to ask you a few questions to see how well you'd fit our business requirements and culture.
Sounds good. Thank you for having me.
So let's start with some background. Could you tell us something about yourself?
Well, I am a second-year electrical engineer studying at UTS, and I'm also an apprentice electrician on the side. And yeah, I have been studying at UTS for the past 2 years, and I have 6 months work experience as an electrician.
Alright, that's good to know. What do you see as the major challenges facing our field?
I'd say a major challenge facing the field of power generation is the fact that power generation is changing in ways we don't know. For example, with the introduction of solar panels, biofuels, all these new methods of power generation are going to actually change how infrastructure needs to be put in place to actually run power through Sydney. For example, while at the moment everything uses coal generators, once people attempt to put in, for example, a solar generator, this will actually change how the infrastructure needs to be ran throughout Sydney. And this, I'd say, is probably the biggest factor that's changing the industry of power generation as we know it.
Oh, okay. If you were offered the internship, what is the main goal that you want to achieve from it and why?
Well, the main goal I would personally like to achieve from this internship is really the ability to learn within the field and actually grasp concepts I've never grasped before, and be able to see the field through the eyes of an employee rather than a university student. Be able to actually work within the field rather than looking at it from the outside.
Communication is vital in any organization. Can you give me an example of a time when a miscommunication caused a significant problem, and how did you resolve it?
A good example of when miscommunication caused a problem through my experiences was within my first semester of university, in which I had a group assignment with 5 other individuals. And one group member was given the incorrect date in which we had to get our each individual tasks prepared for the assignment. Due to this, when this day came around and everyone had their sections, this one individual was not prepared. So I personally sat down and assisted this individual in completing their task coherently and efficiently, so that rather than be placed potentially a week behind schedule, we were able to get our work done on the day and maintain our schedule and work forward, and in the end achieve a good mark for the assignment.
Nice. Related to that is, of course, teamwork. Give an example of how you worked on a team.
An excellent example of this comes in my second semester of uni, in which I was placed within a group assignment with 7 other individuals. In this group, I was the team leader. And due to this, I was given the responsibility to manage everyone and ensure that the task was completed to its, more or less, its optimal outcome. Due to this, teamwork was important because we each worked with each other, both simultaneously and on our own. And due to this, an appropriate team plan had to be put in place so that we, one, didn't trip over one another, but also worked with each other to achieve a common goal. Due to this, planning was a big part of this, and in the end, we achieved a good mark due to the fact that we were able to plan, reach a common goal, and work efficiently with each other.
Nice. That pretty much wraps up the interview. Do you have any questions for us?
Yeah, I personally have 2 questions I would like to ask.
Sure.
The first question being whether or not my qualifications as an apprentice electrician, so for example my white card and my field experience, will come in useful in my internship.
Since you've had previous work experience, you should be pretty sweet for our job, for our internship as well. So yeah, I guess.
Another follow-up question to that I have is there any other documents, papers, anything else I can bring in that would strengthen my position in this company, or more or less my want to work in this company?
We'll probably have a second round of interviews, so if you do make it, we'll probably ask you to bring everything on that round.
Okay. And final question, do you see any hurdles in this industry in the future, like any major impacts that could affect this industry?
The industry is pretty volatile, and the way we work at our stuff, anything can really change. So if something does change, it has the possibility of putting all our workers out of work. So there's that. But if it does change in the benefit for us, it's pretty great as well. So yeah, that's pretty much the one thing.
Okay, cool.
Yep. All right. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
We have a few more applications to interview, but we'll let you know in our decision in a few days.
Cool.
All right. Sweet.
Thank you.
No worries.